Welcome to the 90th Minute Whistle podcast, presented by Live Sports. I'm your host, Mario. I'm here with my co-host, Leon.
Hello.
Might do that for the intro a second time. Um, the Champions League, we'll start right into it. The Champions League reactions.
Um, good, good tactical display by Pep. I was looking at the game and I realized that he was being a bit more pragmatic, taking a page out of Jose's book. You know, um, secure the away goal and then keep it tight. City wasn't as aggressive today. They played a game that was more centered around let's not lose the match than let's win the game. Let's win the tie in the first leg. They played like a team that knew that you have to come to our house. And I think a 1-1 result is a perfect result for Pep. I think for Madrid they would have wanted a lead going into the second leg. But I feel that maybe there's a hint of fatigue with the City players. And by fatigue, I don't mean physical, I mean mental, because they are now in uncharted territory, right? They're now in, okay, every game matters now. Every game takes us one step closer to being the second ever English side to do a treble. So every game for City right now is basically a finals in the league. They have an FA Cup final as well. So Pep is trying to manage the expectations of the team. In his press conference, he said that the reporter said that everybody expected City to blow out Real Madrid. And Pep was like, you guys expected that. We didn't expect that. Do you know who we're playing against? Do you see how much Champions League they've won? So I think Pep is trying to keep expectations low. But I feel that overall, it was a good discipline display from City. Even though the ball had gone out of play for De Bruyne's goal, and I don't think Madrid will be happy with that, seeing as, it should have been a throw-in than De Bruyne scoring a screamer. But all in all, I think the highlights of that game was Vinny again stepping up in the big moments. He's been one of Madrid's most influential players for the past 2 seasons, and again, he's showing that when it's time to now when it's big game times, he steps up to the moment. So overall, I think it's an okay first leg for City. I do still think there will be Madrid at home, but I think the real test is gonna be the Milan derby. I think that's where we're probably gonna see more. Well, let's say now a more competitive match, because I don't see both Milan teams playing for like a draw. Because City played for a draw today and they got the result that they wanted.
All right, so how I see it a little bit different. Um, I see it a little bit different in terms of I think the managing of the expectations is not it's not a matter of uncharted territory. I think he knows his squad is weaker than before. And I know that Haaland offsets a lot of that, but like City's squad is weaker than before. I think their best year to win it in terms of having a fully strong squad was Hear that we beat them in the Champions League final.
Yeah.
That's why I don't think this is uncharted territory for them. That's the only part I disagree with when you in your breakdown. I don't think it's uncharted territory. I just think that I told you at the beginning of the season that City looks sloppy, right? From the
Yeah.
very beginning of the season. And I told you that it's not going to matter. And there was a reason why I said something because you have Haaland. Um, I do agree with the part where you said that City was playing for a draw. And I wouldn't even at first it never looked like that to me in terms of pragmatism. I thought they just couldn't break down Madrid how they wanted to. And they were trying too many half chance. But even the goal wasn't really like a full-fledged chance. Then
Yeah, like both goals were really half chances if you look at it. Good speculative shots, good goals, very good goals from both De Bruyne and Vinicius, but no team created clear-cut opportunities. Both team strikers starved today, like
I wouldn't say even starved. It was a matter to me of neither team taking risks. So both teams never want to lose this match. And there were even Haaland's shots, because even if you look at City's shots at goal and they're on target, they have a lot of shots on target, but they were not clear. As I said, they were not clear cut chances. It was like, all right, we just want a half chance to score and control the pace of the game. And I think bringing in Kyle Walker for make sure they still have enough pace to deal with Madrid's wingers was good, but both teams today, and this is where I disagree with the Milan thing. This felt like a Milan type game, like two Inter versus AC type game. Both those games are to me are going to be very tight, not necessarily high scoring. Because both teams, granted, Inter play a lot more of a possession style than when they were under Conte, but AC Milan play a very sit back, hit you hard on the counter type of game. But Inter to me hasn't been scoring freely as they would want to.
that is true. Yeah, they haven't been scoring freely this season.
And
It says when you look at their strikers, look at the number between all three of them. It shows that they aren't as fluid this year attacking wise.
I want well, I think that's due to the players that they have. I think a lot of the players there are still Conte type players. And even the ones
Exactly. They
and
don't have
even
any. These
I,
aren't really creative
no, but even the
players,
ones I
playmakers,
wouldn't
stuff
even
like
say
that.
that, but like even the ones who are creative, it's not the creation that's the problem. It's a consistency of the strikers. Luartara has been Luartara this year. He's been scoring a lot, but Dzeko, granted, Dzeko fits their style of play, so they create chances, but he's not finishing like he used to. He's all that older now.
Hmm.
And Lukaku is the one who you should be depending on for like score a lot of goals, but he doesn't fit the style of play. So it's not even like the midfielders aren't creating. Because if you look at Barella, and I'm actually impressed by Hakan Cho and Noglu in terms of playmaking. I know him gonna score him free kick them. They want to score penalties. I know him gonna score goals from outside of the box. A him thing that,
Hmm.
but playmaking wise, he was never acknowledged as a playmaker despite being an attacking midfielder. And I think since he's gone to the Syria, his playmaking has improved a lot. But the problem that I really see with Inter is that if Luartara doesn't score, we'll struggle to get goals from our attackers.
Hmm.
So a wing back might have to pop up with a goal. Against Roma, when they beat Roma weekend, DeMarco was the one who scored. Which is their left back or left wing back, depending on how you want to look at it. But the good thing about both Milan squads is that if their attackers and midfielders aren't scoring, they can get goals from other places in their squad.
That is true. Yes.
The problem is I did not want a boring Milan derby, and I think that's what we're going to get on both legs because neither team to me is in great form. Yes, both teams beat Roma recently, but Roma hasn't been in great form this season. A lot of injuries, a lot of new players as well. Um, So I wouldn't look at those results and say, all right, this is a new Even AC beating Napoli, that to me had more to do with Napoli getting tired than anything else. And
Yeah, that's why I feel like the winner between Madrid and City goes on to win the Champions League, right? Now, granted, both Milan teams have history, but at some point you can look at both squads and say that barring a miracle from the Milan teams, right? This seems to be the winner of this. And funnily, right?
even if Napoli went through, I would have told you the same thing.
Yeah, but the same thing is that I would have given Napoli more edge against any of these teams to even match them in terms of goal output. Right? Because I look at this Napoli team and say that but yeah, both Madrid and City have dangerous weapons in terms of being able to hurt a team. But this Napoli team can also hurt you as well.
Yeah, but here's the difference. All right, let me put it this way. If Real Madrid had gone through and Napoli gone through to the finals, I would have picked Napoli to beat Madrid. If Man City and Napoli, Man City and anybody goes through, Man City wins. Because I think Man City can beat Napoli in a shootout. And I just don't think Inter and AC have what it takes to stop them from scoring. Even though both teams are good defensively, I don't think you can stop them from scoring, especially in our finals when they just let it out. And that's
But I want to give credit to Rudiger today because Rudiger was put on the marking duty for Haaland. And I think he won all his duels up against Haaland, which, Haaland's a very physical striker, and we know Rudiger. Rudiger relishes the physical battle.
yeah, but here's the thing, Leon. And this is why I said that I still don't give too much credit to that because I don't think City played for like opening up Madrid. The risky passes that they usually take, the 1-2s that they usually play, everything was done more safe, and then we'll take a half chance if we get it.
Like
Both
I said,
teams, and I
straight
think,
out of the Jose playbook of pragmatism in the away leg.
yeah, but
Keep it tight away from home,
it
win
wasn't
it
just,
at home.
but it wasn't just City. Madrid were have had the same game plan.
Yeah, because I felt that Madrid was afraid of City cutting right through them if they were too expansive and too careless.
Oh, both teams were with that mentality. I don't think City tried to play as safe as possible until they had to open up because Madrid did take the lead, so they had to open up eventually. And there was other chances for Madrid to score. It's not like Madrid never created none at all. Madrid just never did take the whole heap of half chance shot them way. Yeah. On the stats paper, it looked good, but they were just half chances. You see me? That's why I say like I don't think either team pressed either team's defense or midfield really. It was more of like let's not lose this. So when Vinicius put Madrid 1-0 up, yeah, City had to start playing a lot more. And of course, we saw the same thing when the match went back to 1-1 and late in the match, Madrid went on a run late in the
Yeah.
game. Because at that point, they did have to open up and do something. But I thought from both teams' perspective, neither of them like took the game by the hand. Now that works out better for Man City to me because now when you're at home, you can open up and shoot.
Yeah, you can be more risky, yeah.
Because away goals rule doesn't apply anymore.
Yeah, it doesn't, yeah, it's been removed.
Yeah, but that also still poses a risk because the match is still technically nil. So it still poses a risk. But I think Man City would want to get in a shoot if it needs to get into a shootout at the Etihad. I think City would appreciate that more than having to play another pragmatic match.
I agree with you.
So that's other so in terms of the Inter AC Milan match, who I'm really looking at, the players that I'm really looking at for those two games, Barella, Ishmael Benacer.
Yeah. I think
Those
those are two key players in that match.
yeah. Tonali has been good, but Benacer is the underrated midfielder in that midfield. Even the year when they won Syria and Sandro Tonali was still a bench, was still coming off the bench. It
Mhm.
was Benacer and Frank Kessie. Now we heard more about Frank Kessie because he scored more goals because he was a penalty taker and of course him score goals from outside of the box. Comparisons to Yaya Toure and all of that crap. But Benacer has been the unsung hero in that Milan midfield ever since Pioli came in,
Yeah.
and he's the player that I think in football world doesn't get talked about enough. This is a player who led Algeria to African Cup of Nations, got player of the tournament because I'm assist and him goals. Um, Many people consider him a defensive midfielder, which he isn't. He's he's a box to box midfielder. He just has good passing. He has the passing of a deep line playmaker. So he plays well as a register if you ask him to. Um, and whenever Sandro Tonali has been out this season, he's been the man for them in the midfield in terms of energy, bringing life to the Milan midfield. And even at the weekend, he was the one who scored the goal. He was the one who scored for them. Well, granted, they played him as a number 10 because I think Brian Diaz not fully fit. I'm not sure. But they had to force him to, they had to force. That's why I said, like, he's such a good all-round player and I don't care what any Arsenal fan wants to say. You guys gave up another very good young talent out of the academy. Um, which wouldn't have happened if Arsene Wenger was still in charge at the time. But he's to me a world-class midfielder that nobody acknowledges. Barry
Really?
is yes, bro, him lead Algeria to an African Cup of Nations. That's the most you can ask from an Algerian footballer, right? He was a starter for Milan's midfield over Sandro Tonali in the year they won Syria. Because it was him and Kessie at the base of the midfield. Showa Noglu as a number.
Yeah, but Tonali was still coming through at that time.
Yeah,
At the
but
time, Tonali hadn't fully established himself yet.
still, and even though that Tonali has established himself, he's still the one that is the driving force in the midfield. Tonali might be becoming a bigger name because he's Italian and the whole Pirlo comparisons. But it's Benacer to me who is the life of the midfield. So, for example, I think Brozovic is the most, to me, the best midfielder at Inter Milan in terms of all-round player. Barella is the life force of that midfield.
Yeah.
It used to be the other way around, where Barella is the most talented. Ericsson and Barella were very talented, and Brozovic was the life force. But as Bro,
Yeah, but I think Barilla has been on the eyes of many persons in Europe's eyes. I think the only reason I still at Inter is because Inter has quoted 100 million price tag on him.
yeah, but here's the difference. Brozovic has been good defensively this year, which he's always been. But he's not a natural defensive midfielder. He's a register, deep line playmaker, whatever you want to call it. But he just work very hard. His output attacking wise or how much he helps the attack has been fading year after year. Um this year, the midfielder that has both helped defensively and in attack. That's why I picked out him and Ishmael. Sandro Tonali is doing what Brozovic is doing for Inter. And he's doing it at a
Yeah,
world class
yeah,
level.
but Sandro is a naturally a defensive midfielder.
Yeah, Sancho is an actual defensive midfielder and just can pass like a deep line playmaker. And him have Pirlo looks, so they might compare him to Pirlo. But what I'm saying is, even though to me, Brozovic is extremely talented, Sandro Tonali is extremely talented. When Benacer is not playing, the midfield looks different. When Barella is not there, the midfield looks different in terms of heartbeat, in terms of who can like turn the tie, in terms of just work ethic plus the fact that they're skilled. So Brahim Diaz is a good number 10. Choanolu is a good number 10. I don't like even if they perform well, if Barella isn't there in the heart of that midfield, it looks different. The midfield looks slower, a bit more slouchy. Same thing for AC Milan. That fight isn't there in midfield. They still look good as a midfield, but the fight isn't there. And Krunic has stepped up this season. I'll give him in props, but he's not Benacer in terms of technical ability going forward. So he can do the box to box thing as well, but he's not that proficient a passer. He doesn't
Mhm.
provide goals as well from midfield. Same thing with Gal Gardini. Gal Gardini can come in for Barella, yes, and do box to box work, or he can even sit as the defensive midfielder. But
That is true, yeah.
he doesn't provide what Barella provides on both sides and the high energy that they provide. That's why I brought up those two, because if what is going to win those two legs for Milan and AC is intensity, which midfielders show up, which teams
Yeah.
show up intensity wise. Um, Rafael Leo hasn't been consistent in terms of goal scoring.
Yes, he had a big gap in the middle of the season, but he's found back that goal scoring touch in the business end of the season. He's scoring when it matters.
Yeah, but again, how many times has he scored when it matters this season? And that's a problem. Like, yeah, more recently, but if you really look at it, it's Madrid's midfielders who've been stepping up and scoring important goals. Sorry, not Madrid. Milan's midfielders who've been stepping up and scoring
Yeah,
important.
because the funny thing, like Milan lacks a goal scorer in their team as a striker, and I know they have a good group of attackers that they're working, but I think one of the biggest differences between the Serie A teams is that Napoli had Osimhen, right?
Mhm.
Um, Inter strikers were out of form all season, basically.
I wouldn't say out of
Roma,
form. I wouldn't say out of form. It was too Luarter dependent in term, and Luarter is not the out and out striker. He has to create as well.
exactly, yeah. So,
So that's why I said
Roma
Dzeko.
had injuries all season.
Yeah, so Tammy Abraham couldn't get her. And he's, as a matter of fact, I him saved for the past couple of weeks. So it's not like him not scoring, but if you're not in the team, you can't score consistently enough.
Exactly. And like you said, that this is Roma making like a final charge to the top four places.
Which I don't think they're going to get. Is Europa League or
Because, yeah, because as you said, you had injuries to Dybala, to Tammy, to Bellotti, you
why not?
know, Wijnaldum. So as soon as some consistency starts being built, then bam, injuries again, no more consistency. Lazio has been performing really well. I think what Sarri has done with that Lazio team is that he has made them so hard to beat that even if they don't score much goals, right? They don't concede much goals either. So they're always in the positive.
But to kind of cap off the whole Inter Milan AC Milan thing, the person that I think is still the most dangerous are Dzeko and Giroud, believe it or not. They might not be scoring the goal tallies that you want them to score, because Giroud was the leading goal scorer for the team the year they won Syria. Dzeko was them leading goal scorer. Not even leading goal, second leading goal scorer last year. But and he performed very well last year. Carried them to a Coppa Italia and Super Coppa Italia, and they're about to repeat the same thing this year. But what Dzeko and Giroud provide, and this is why I think AC Milan missed the mark in terms of the last window that they have in terms of buying a striker. They bought the same striker 3 times. And by that, what I mean is, when you bought Rafael Leo, he was never bought as an out and out striker. Nor was he bought as a winger, really. But he was bought as a second striker, somebody who could play off of a number 9. Which helps when you have a target man like Giroud. But of course, they
It
didn't
does.
go wide. Fine, you bought Ante Rebic as well. Rebic again, not an out and out striker. Yes, they can play that role if necessary, but they're more they've played better in their careers when they're playing off of a number 9, when they're roaming around off of it. Rebic has been played on the right wing for most of his AC Milan career. Granted, win the Syria with them that year playing out there with Leo on the other side, both of them surrounding Giroud. They help stay compact and them can also drift out wide as well, dribbling or whatever. But Rebic has dealt with a lot of injuries this year, and Junior Messias eventually took his spot in the team. Now, Junior Messias is more naturally a number 10, but he's played out wide on the right. So when you take off Leo or Junior Messias, that's where Rebic and Salemakas play. So fine, you can bring in new wingers. But when you have to bring on Divock Origi for Olivier Giroud, you're not really solving the problem that you have. Because Origi is really exactly what Rafael Leo is. He's
That's true.
not an out and out striker. Even for Belgium, it has the three out and out strikers for Belgium have always been Lukaku, Batshuayi, and let's even take it back to the Christian Benteke when Benteke was on form. Origi was always guys like Origi,
A
Hazard,
second
Mertens.
striker, really.
Yeah, those guys
Mertens, these guys play behind.
yeah, are played off of the number 9. So when they bring in Origi, yes, him can play through the middle on a day and come in and pop up with a late goal. Cool. But if you're depending on him to be a number 9, then you're into problems. So it's like, go on.
What do you see going to happen though for like tomorrow? Like who do you think has the edge going into the match tomorrow?
Inter. Because AC Milan has gone through a lot of injuries, and I have to give credit to Piolo, and I have to give credit to the Milan youngsters. They kept their season afloat because Milan, and especially in the business end of the year, they have a central midfielder who I think plays for. He could either play for Belgium or what the country name, the Democratic Republic of Congo, which low key have some good players. Yannick Bolasie, Cedric Bakambu, Dianga, who played for West Ham and West Brom. Like, so them have some good players. Axel Tunzabe, who's playing for Manchester United. But this guy, Vraxis, I'm not even pronouncing his name properly, but Vraxis, you probably see him in an ultimate team, probably get a new card or some shit like that as a youngster.
Mm-hmm.
He's stepped up well when, like I said, Tonali, Benasir, Krunic, and those guys have had injuries this year. Krunic has stepped up, and another midfielder that I wanted to bring up, Pobega, the Italian central midfielder. He's been a revelation for them, and most people see him as the long-term partner at the base of the midfield, or even if they invent a midfield 3, because Daniel Maldini is coming off alone and he's an attacking midfielder. Pobega is a box-to-box mid, and Tonali is a defensive mid. So that could always be the midfield 3 one day. But the point is, the Milan youngsters have stepped up. Yassine Adli been okay. Salemakas and De Cateliere, the other Belgium guy, the
That's in
attacking
the team.
midfielder. Yeah, the Belgium attacking midfielder, the left footer. And him can play out wide on the wing too. And I think them buy him from either club. I think a Club Bruges them buy him from. He's stepped up as well, whether playing as a number 10 or out wide. Because again, Junior Messias has been out with injuries. Rebic has been out with injuries. So I do think, just in terms of continuity, that Inter have the edge. But here's where Inter to me really have the edge. When substitutions are to be made. That's where
Yes, Inter is deeper.
that's to me is where Inter has the edge. If Inter takes off Dzeko, they're bringing on Lukaku. They take off Luartaro, they're bringing in Angel Correa. If they take off Hakan Çalhanoğlu, they're bringing in Mkhitaryan. No, Mkhitaryan is not the player he used to be, but he's still good enough to come on and give you some minutes and score a goal or help with an assist as a playmaker. Them take off Barella or Brozovic, them have Galgardini. So they're not losing too much quality. What Milan is gaining when they drop somebody is youth, but not necessarily experience. So there are Milan have a lot of youth and talent on the bench. Della Create, Salemakas, Adley, Vraxis, Pobega, all of these guys, Krunic, but they're not substituting for quality. The only quality off the bench is Ante Rebic. Um, Maybe if more forcefully put Diva Origi into that class as well in terms of a super sub type change. But outside of that, it's really their defenders that is only in defense Milan have depth where them can pick and choose any center back, any fullback. Teo Hernandez, Dumfries, DeMarco, and Calabria. Those to me outside of the midfielders of Benacer and Barella, those guys are to me are going to be very important because whenever either Milan team cannot get any goals from their the rest of the team, it's been the
Yeah.
fullbacks. Again, DeMarco scored against Roma recently. Teo Hernandez has been scoring the same goal for Milan for the past 3 years. Step up into midfield, dribble through the entire field because everybody back off of you, and then shoot from outside of the box. And he's been scoring that exact same goal for Milan for the past
One thing though, like I do feel like Milan can pull a surprise though, and I do feel that um Inter will, like I just feel that Milan just gives me that, okay, yeah, they don't have the depth, but I feel like Milan players will show up. I just feel that when it matters most, AC players will step up. And I think that's been like a bit of a small question mark over Inter players
but here's
this
why
season. Well, this season, not
yeah,
historically, but just this season. I just feel like it will take a while for. I just feel like AC will be the better. I feel like AC might just edge it out. They might just nudge it out. But I do agree what you say about Inter. Um, I think most persons would choose Inter, seeing that Inter is actually in a good run of form right now as well. But AC is also coming off some back-to-back wins as well. So I think it's an interesting matchup, really.
I just don't want a boring derby. I just don't want. I just don't want a boring derby where every team, but both teams sit back. Even if one team is pragmatic, let's hope the other team is really attacking. But the problem is Inter now play this somewhat tiki-taka style of football rather than the usual Conte long ball football. And we know that Milan likes to sit back and then hit you on the counter with pace and energy. But I don't want Milan just passing around the ball aimlessly. That's one of the biggest things I'm running for. I don't want to see that crap for the entire 90 minutes. Like, you don't need to be Barcelona now. And I think with AC Milan, I'm afraid that Inter sits back with them, and that's the problem for Milan this season. Taking the lead from the front. The reason why they were so good against Napoli is because Napoli run them down and Milan was comfortable just sitting back and hitting on the counter. But what if Inter decides, say, oh, all right, we're going to give Uno the ball and we want to see Uno break down another team? That's where I fear for Milan. And Inter, they now play a style where it's not just kick the ball long or kick it out wide. We can pass the ball around until we're ready for breakdown a team. But that's why I say like Barrel and Benacer will be important because those two guys can flip the game on its head in terms of, all right, if you're going to give me the ball to break down a team, those two guys to me are the ones who could really do it. And in terms of strikers um outside of Lautaro and Leo,
Yeah.
Giroud and Dzeko might be old, but they're the perfect types of target man for both of the systems that they're currently playing in.
So let's shift a little bit, right?
Mm. We'll have a look at
Europa League semifinals. You're playing off against Leverkusen.
Mhm.
What do you think are your chances?
Our chances are very good in the Europa League, but my thing is this. I need somebody to get rid of Juventus. I need somebody to get rid of. There's another Syria team.
No, it's Juve and Roma in the semifinals, and Leverkusen. Hold up. Let me bring up the brackets.
Sevilla is still here. Lever.
Yes, it's Sevilla and Juventus.
I don't think it's the semifinals.
Yes, sir, it's the semifinals.
All
It
right.
is the
No.
semifinals.
All right. So just to. All right. Cool. If it says the semifinals, I need Sevilla to get rid of Juventus for me. Leverkusen is only a problem if Roma turn it into a problem. I love what Xabi Alonso has been doing, but let's not act like his team isn't as talented as before. They sent Paulinho back to Brazil, and Patrick Schick has been injured for the year.
Yeah.
Hudson-Odoi has been good, but not great. And Xabi Alonso for some reason don't really hasn't fallen in love with him either. Florian Wirtz has been great, but again, who else is there that's going to step up? Demrabai has become more and more of a sitting midfielder rather than like back before when he could have like pop up with some goals and stuff. So I do like how Leverkusen squad plays. I think it will be hard to break them down because them still have Tartap Soba, Hassan Kape, players that are rate at the back. But and I like the keeper, Rodby or whatever, the Finnish keeper. But I just think that we have so much that we can throw at them. All Roma has to do this season is stop shooting themselves in the foot. And then make it through to the next round. If Roma cannot self-destruct, we're good. And I trust a Jose team in a final versus. And I know what people will say, oh, but Mario, you would really want to play Juve, you would really want to play Sevilla in a Europa League final? Yes, specifically the Sevilla team, because it's disorganized. This is now their third manager this year. A new Spanish manager because they fired Sampaoli. Sampaoli is now with Flamengo in Brazil. Um, but this is a team that has been facing a relegation battle all year. Now, both teams are desperate to win the Europa League, but because the only way Sevilla can qualify for any form of European competition next year by winning this. Same thing goes for Roma, and I don't think Jose wants to play in the Conference League again, especially since he won it last year. But a Conference League this year, a Europa League the following year, and maybe a Syria title in his third and final year because it's a 3-year contract would give him. Who knows if it will be expanded? But I prefer to play a broken Sevilla who I know is
Uh-huh.
still at risk rather than play a Juve with something to fight for.
So you prefer Sevilla, which is I understand that.
Mhm.
So, but do you think Jose can work his magic? I think Jose can work his magic and get you guys into your second European final.
Well, let's hope so. All right, what got for
Because I feel like that's on the last point. I feel like you said, I feel UCL is a bit out of your grasp. It's not over yet, but I do feel that the Europa League is a realistic trophy for you guys.
all right, well, that's where we'll leave it here for today. We'll come back next time. We'll get into stuff for the different leagues and wrapping up the season.
All right, no problem. So see you guys again.